Hello and welcome to Journey of Joy with Anjali Verma. So we have a very dynamic personality at our studio. She is a corporate leader and currently serving as Group Chief Corporate Development Officer at GTT Solutions in Pune. She has also been a former Mrs. India and a former TV anchor. Let's welcome my beautiful friend. She is Ronita Sen Gupta. Hello Ronita.
Hi Anjali.
So how do you feel about it? How are you feeling today?
I am very excited and I think it's just very thrilling to be here on the sets today of your new show.
I am fortunate enough to have you here. I definitely look up to you. You are just amazing.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here and I'm equally excited for this conversation that we're going to have today.
Perfect. Let's start the conversation and I have a lot of questions which I want to put up. I know that you have a very strong corporate profile and along with that you have been recognized with so many other titles and so many other features in media. Would you like to talk about these achievements?
Okay, so Anjali, I think it's been a journey of 20 plus years and my affinity or my initial aspiration was always to be in the corporate world. But then I realized that if you want to make an impact, you want to, ensure that you're inspiring and you're helping other women also to follow the path that you have started, walking on, you have to do a little bit more than what you're generally doing. So I think when I joined the corporate and I started gradually understanding the ways of the corporate world, I realized that one thing that we women needed to know is how to navigate through the snakes and ladder. That was my article in Sunday Guardian very recently.
Correct, right.
How do we maneuver, how do we navigate by recognizing who are the real-time snakes in our path and who actually come across in our path as ladders. So I think then I started realizing it's important to do more than what I'm generally doing, a 9-to-5 job. You must be aware that I started a dual career because I was a news anchor with Delhi Doordarshan and I was doing my 9-to-5 HR corporate job. And then with gradual exposure that happened, when I went for Mrs. India, that was a completely different roller coaster ride for me because it gave me avenue to a whole new world, to see the world from a different lens, to groom myself to work with some of the biggest legends of the fashion world. And of course, I always had an inclination to write, to kind of influence, to make a difference by coming up with story and narratives that are very close to my heart. So I started writing for Lokmat Times as one of the regular columnists while I was in Nagpur. And when I moved to Pune, of course, you've been seeing that I started making appearances as a speaker in different forums, whether, it's kind of being there, talking to the defenders of the nation, or the Indian Navy, the NIPM forum, or the different HR summits. And of course, of late, there are articles that are getting published in which I'm trying to address a lot of issues where women, come across or they have been facing in their career path or in their professional journey. Because I think when you have really walked a decade of 20 plus years, whether in corporate or any other industry, it is somewhere down the line your responsibility that you kind of show the light to other women who are trying to make it as well.
Right, I think that has been rightly said. You were into TV industry. You were on Doordarshan, that's what I know, because when we spoke in the past, you told me about this. So along with that, into a big corporate firm, that too in a C-suite. How did you manage that? I really want to know this because it's such a drastic change. And how did you manage to do this?
So as I told you earlier also that you see, my journey was pretty much dual, twofold.
Right.
My first job was in fact as a television news anchor because from the very core of my childhood, my parents have always pushed me to participate in debates and public speaking, elocution, and being from a Bong family, which was pretty much rich from the cultural heritage point of view. We were painting, we were writing, we were reading, we were dancing. So I think that was a natural amalgamation of something that was there at the very core. But then of course, I knew that I wanted to kind of, do something pretty, solid. And I figured out because I did my MBA in HR and my dual specialization in labor laws, labor welfare from ILS Law College, I felt that I should utilize, that degree, the professional qualification into something, into a larger ambit like a corporate world because I was always interested to get into that field. And thankfully, earlier when I was in Kolkata, I was given the freedom to pursue both the careers together. And of course, then there was a break because I had to kind of move out of the television space and do something different. And of course, Mrs. India happened, and all the stuff that was happening on social media, where I figured out that I need to create a niche for myself. But what and how could I do things differently? So I think the change, the entire process of change, was also a realization that me, either whether I'm being in the corporate or whether I'm being in the media, would also mean bringing a voice to the table. So I think women elevation, or impacting other women in their growth towards what they want to achieve in their life, has always been my motto, my objective. So both the areas, whether the corporate or the media, I think this too kind of gave me that impetus and that strength to move towards that path that I have envisioned for myself and for women like us.
So Ronita, हमने बहुत बार ऐसा सुना है that the corporate women who are so ambitious, तो वो work के साथ साथ they cannot handle home, okay? दो नावों पे पैर नहीं रख सकते हैं. तो आपके हिसाब से what do you think कि ये क्या होगा, क्योंकि ये मुझे भी आए हैं challenges, and I would definitely want to hear from your perspective. What do you think about this, because you also face the same thing?
I think I have some very well-founded and radical thoughts about it. First of all, I think women should stop being superwomen. I think the myth that talks about, women are superwomen is not something that we should go by, because we are humans at the end of the day. We have our share of challenges, we are multitasking, and I'm sorry to say, but life for women in India have never been easy. You navigating through the snakes and ladders in your professional life, let's not forget there are snakes and ladders at home front too.
Exactly.
So many a times you would see, and I think Anjali, that's a very interesting finding that we see in research also. Women at the top of their career, 45% of women we see in our country, they give up leadership positions because they are unable to manage the status quo between home and work front, which is very sad. So I think we in India as a society need to understand that women have already proven themselves at the home front. They've been great, mothers, wife, sister, and then, daughters and nurturers. So there's no need to prove themselves in a new way on that front. But what the world or the global economy or the country today needs is that women should march equally, with men or with anybody else in the world to contribute towards that economic upliftment of our society. Because there's a very famous saying I've heard earlier, and I'm sure, that the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. I think so today women need a voice at every sphere of life, whether it's at home or in the boardroom. Once, and I think it's kind of, left a very deep impact. I met actress Bhagyashree, and I think I've always had a girl crush on her. Yes, so it was because of some work and project related I wanted to meet her, and she was really nice and kind. And when I was explaining this concept of, the dilemma of women not being able to, manage certain things at home front and then trying to make it big at the corporate world, and why it is important to elevate women, Bhagyashree made a very important quote. She said that, I agree with you, because the end objective and the vision is that once a woman steps into the boardroom, she's not going to step down. So that was a very strong message that she gave. And it kind of, really inspired me that, yes, that's the need of the hour today. So my, I think, outlook towards women who are trying to manage home and work front, please let's understand, let's be honest, you may not always join the right hand to the left hand, and vice versa. So I think people at home, and especially here I'm talking about, it could be the parents, it could be the children, it could be the spouse, it could even be the house help, need to understand that when a woman is performing her, job role, or, she's doing anything, she could be an entrepreneur, she could be a doctor, a lawyer, or whatever she wants to be, they need to support and cooperate and show that compassion to her. And I think women should stop really, drilling themselves or, thinking that they can do both sides. At times it's better to leave certain things, and just focus on what is really important. I think I'm not saying that you shouldn't be looking at the home front, but just focus on what is important at that point of time.
All right. So, in your recent article, you compared a women's professional journey to the popular board game Snakes and Ladders. I think you are very much talking about it, and I actually want to know what do you think about it and what it is.
Oh, I think so massively about, this term. It's become my favorite. And, one of the days before I wrote this article, I was actually sitting with a very close friend of mine and we were discussing. So, he being from the cybersecurity world, and he was talking about his own examples of, coming across a lot of women, who kind of face a lot of difficulties in figuring out, in the corporate world, that where are they moving towards? What's the career growth? What's their aspiration? Do they have enough support? And then, of course, we've spoken about how women at the peak of their career also gives it up, just for the heck of, their household or their personal life and stuff. Now, when I talk about the alibi of Snakes and Ladder, and, this is very interesting, Anjali, because, from childhood, we've been playing that you move 4 steps, okay, and you get a ladder, you move up, maybe, 10 steps after that, and then unfortunately a wrong dice rolls, and you just move out, to the snake's mouth, and there you go down. So I think a woman's journey in the corporate world or any other industry is very much similar to that, because there are a whole lot of snakes, and me personally have come across a lot of poisonous ones. So I think that's one of the reasons why I keep saying that when we talk about snakes, and I'm sorry, but I don't really want to sound negative towards the other gender, but I think we as women come across a lot of chauvinism, male chauvinism, a lot of patriarchal hierarchy when we are trying to make our way upwards. We don't have enough sponsors, of leadership who would like to kind of, take you up to the next level or elevate you. We women don't support each other. That's the biggest problem today. That, instead of becoming allies at workplace, comrades at workplace, we fail to even see the bigger picture, because we are so busy competing against each other that, we just not only fail ourselves as women, but we fail our own gender, when they're walking that path. So those are some of the snakes, besides the personal issues that a woman may face of not having enough support from home front. But I also find that a lot of women leaders today, they are not living up to their mark. So where they can come up, they can, become mentors to other women in their organizations or in any field that they work in. I think they are failing to do that. So these are the snakes I think a woman will come across, and I have personally seen these exemplifications in my own journey, and hence I kind of make it very loud and clear that if there are snakes, there needs to be ladders.
Or because along with this, you have got such kind of position also into corporate with all these things.
Thanks. And I was very lucky also, fortunate. I will have to give credit to some incredible bosses I have worked with who've been men, who've been women, some excellent mentors I've got on the way, and some great exposure. Because I believed in one thing, that, women should be like air. You need to rise. Come what, from whichever side, you may have the wind coming in, but you need to be like that, and you need to ensure that at every level, you have to look at what is waiting for you. Right. What has happened, you can't change the past, but you can definitely change your destiny and what's therein for you tomorrow. So I think that's where I think the ladders play a very important role.
I also understand that you are coming up with an initiative which has something to do with women empowerment. I think it's rather women elevation. So please tell me a little more about it.
Thanks, Anjali. While I'm not right now, in a position to talk about the real venture, but I'll definitely give you an idea about it, because I'm sure that, as one of my colleague in the fraternity, and my close friend, you will be excited about it. But my intent is definitely to bring about a change with the way, we're looking at women advancement today in whichever field we are. So the new venture, or, I would not even call it a new venture. I think it's going to be a movement, where I would want to see this movement picking momentum, where we are going to look at elevating women, So this is not about women empowerment. I don't think women really need to be empowered. I think we only need equally level playing fields and equal, opportunities, and also the culture of meritocracy to build us up. So I think my vision of making this new venture is to be the platform where women come up with their voices. and I want those voices to be heard. So whatever the obstacles are, whatever the blockages are, it's my aspiration to see the women of our country advancing to such a level that they can break all those barriers and achieve their dreams. So that's about it. So overall, I can say it's a woman elevation movement.
Yeah, because if we have leaders like you, I'm sure this is going to change. I'm definitely sure about this.
Thank you. Amen.
Ronita, I have rapid fire questions for you. Women empowerment or feminism?
None. Woman elevation.
Women at work or women at social life?
Once again, none. I would prefer women in boardroom.
Great. More snakes or more ladders?
Definitely, there were more snakes and cobras than the poisonous ones for me. So yeah.
Business suits or traditional wear?
Anytime, the 6 yards drape and the sari.
Perfect. Web series or movies?
Movies, because our life is as good as one.
Heels or flats?
Heels.
3 things you can't live without.
So it has to be first, of course, my family, my very, very close friends, few in number, but very close to my heart. And the third would be the memories that I have made in my life. I don't think I can live without any of them.
Pune or Kolkata?
That's tricky because both are favorite. But yes, definitely Pune now.
For me also. Travel to past or future?
I think I would like to travel to the future and see all the changes that I am aspiring to make.
So you would walk or run?
None of them. I would love to soar, fly.
Perfect. Thank you, Ronita, for the wonderful session. I think I am definitely inspired by you because you are just amazing. You are so powerful. You are dynamic.
I'm honored.
Thank you so much for coming here and being one of my favorite guests. Thank you. So guys, this was Ronita Sen Gupta and I was proud to hear her. And we have learned a lot of things through her. Snakes, ladders and women elevation. I think that was the major one. I'm sure you have loved this session. Keep watching Journey of Joy with Anjali Verma. Stay tuned for many more exciting episodes. Thank you.